AMOL is your first name?
Yes, sir. AMOL is my first name, sir.
Okay. Please introduce yourself.
Sir, I am Lieutenant Colonel AMOL. I am a serving officer of Indian Army. I was born in Satara district of Maharashtra, and by virtue of my father's state government employment, I have studied all over the state of Maharashtra, sir. I passed out as a lieutenant from the Indian Military Academy in 2001, and I got the experience of serving in almost every terrain where the Indian Army serves. That includes counterinsurgency in J&K, counterinsurgency in Northeast, about 8 years along the Indo-Pakistan border in Punjab and Rajasthan. I also got a tenure serving internationally as a part of United Nations Peacekeeping Army. Presently, I'm posted in Chennai and I coordinate military operations for 4 major states in South India.
Okay.
I am married to Lieutenant Colonel Sheetal. My wife is Army doctor, and I am blessed with 2 kids. And this is my first attempt for the civil services.
Colonel, this is something very strange because person of your age and you have already been serving for 20 years.
Sir.
You are still in service.
Sir.
Why do you opt for civil services now?
Sir, my bond with the army is for 20 years, sir. And I have finished my 20 years of mandatory service. And due to my disability, I may not be having much of better opportunity as far as the army is concerned.
Okay.
But that does not stop me from getting opportunity in the civil services.
Okay, good. So we'll start with Dr. Singh.
From your DAF, I see that you have also commanded the Republic Day Parade.
Yes, sir.
So, tell me, many people feel that open display of tanks and weapons as an identity of a nation, these kind of hyper-nationalism, we don't require. What's your opinion?
So we are a country of Rana Pratap, Jhansi Rani, Shivaji Maharaj, and the valor and bravery has been into our bloods since time memorial, sir. And nowadays, projection of your armed forces plays a very important role, and that is generally done by, if you see the American forces, or maybe the Russians or the Chinese, they display their armies in such a way that the threat of that army or the strength of that army or the equipment that army hold, that does the work before actually you get into battle, sir. And that we can be called.
No, that's okay. I agree with that. But US don't have a Republic Day kind of parade where you are parading your tanks and missiles, and UK does not have. Why should we have? Okay, these started off in the post-partition, post-independent period. But why continue now? The country has, we have IT power, we have cultural power, we can display all of those. Why military? That is my point. I think it's time we wind up that. What is your opinion?
Okay. So it is perception management, which I say, and I think it is something which has come over a period of time. Now the army is all about traditions, history, and whatever great things were done. Like we take pride in calling ourselves the Britishers Army, and that is seen in any army mess you visit, sir. So these old traditions, breaking them and starting something new actually requires a lot of work, and the inertia itself is very heavy.
No, which time we have to change. There is no problem with that. We can't continue with the same British tradition.
Sir.
Armies used to be linked to the British tradition, but we need to change.
Sir.
India is a very modern country, superpower, IT sector, culture. Why not display that? Why tanks and bombs and missiles?
So bombs generally we don't display, sir, but tanks is something, we train over them and we are very closely associated with the equipment. And I think, that is something, a reflection of our culture. That is a reflection of our military might.
Okay.
And with enemies in sectors, I think required.
India-China relation. If I were to say, I'll give you 2 sentences and you explain that. China looks down upon India and India does not think much of China. What do you understand by this?
So I understand that maybe due to the might of the Chinese economy, which is almost 4 times the economy of India, there is perception among some people that China looks down about India. And as far as India's case is concerned, I don't think that we don't care as to what China thinks about it. We are very serious as far as what the Chinese perception is. And that is the reason we enjoy a very massive trade with them. At the same time, we also deploy our armed forces.
These things are factual, sir. What you are saying. That is very evident. I'm talking, what is the idea behind this? What is the philosophy behind this? When experts say China looks down upon India and India does not think much of China, what does it indicate?
So it indicates that China must be having a feeling that as far as Indian democracy is concerned, it may be having its own challenges. China must also be trying to forecast or maybe a development of the Chinese economy in near future. And they must also be very boastful about the strength of the People's Liberation Army, and maybe the same perception they don't carry about India, sir.
All right, thank you.
Colonel, you, of course, I am not talking about you. You have given your reasons for joining the civil service. But my question is that officers serving in the army today are aspiring for positions in the ministry. They want to work like bureaucrats. What is your view on this?
I didn't get your questions. I'll request you can repeat
Many
once.
serving officers are aspiring for positions in the ministry. They want to work in the ministry in different positions. What are your views on this? Is this all right, or is this trend to be discouraged?
No, sir. I don't think it is discouraging, sir. In fact, like having been served with the United Nations, I realized that the integration of the military with the ministry and with the civil structure is very high in other countries compared to what we have got in India. Provided that we don't face scarcity of officers, which we face at a very younger age and service, that is lieutenant captain, majors and lieutenant colonel. But senior officers with the rank of colonel and above should be given an opportunity to work with ministry. So there is nothing wrong into it.
You think so?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, I will not ask you questions like a fresh candidate, but I am sure you are taking interest. You have studied economics in college.
Yes.
I am sure you are taking interest in some of the financial and economic issues facing the country.
Yes, sir.
So, tell me, what is the position of a current account today?
So I may not be able to directly comment.
Okay. Have you read the union budget?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me some of the salient features of the budget?
So the
As an economist, don't tell me this scheme, that scheme. No.
Sir. So the concentration of this budget was more towards Atmanirbhar aspect. So we were concentrating on to aspect where we were planning to have production, which is related to production on our own. There were also, I'll not about schemes specifically, but the outlook of the budget was more towards realization of our social goals, and also towards empowering the economy once it is out of the COVID-19 shock, sir.
What was the size of the budget?
Sir?
Size of the budget.
Size of the budget, sir. So I can't actually.
What was the fiscal deficit envisaged? No. Okay. Now, just 2 days back, RBI held a monetary policy committee meeting. Are you aware of the
Yes.
outcome? Yes. Tell me.
Sir, RBI held the monetary policy to have control over inflation. That is one of the major factors. As far as the rates are concerned, the bank rates are at 4%. The reverse repo rate and the repo rate, like the reverse repo rate has increased from 3.35 to 3.75. Otherwise, most of the rates are maintained same, sir.
Oh, no, your information is incorrect, but we'll discuss this when you come for feedback.
Sir.
My next question, and this will be my last. Are you aware of some of the changes that have taken place in the Ministry of Defence?
Ministry of Defence specifically,
Yes.
sir.
Since last 2 years or so? 2 or 3 years?
Yes, sir. There is a list which has been restricted by the Defence Minister regarding restriction of buying foreign items. So
Yes.
that is in the range of almost 300 items in last 3 years. And there is an endeavor made that most of the items which we buy off the shelf from foreign countries can be locally produced, sir.
Right. What else?
There is a concept of opening up of, like we already started with the maritime warfare and the theatre warfare, in which small subunits will be in.
Now come to the ministry level. You are still thinking as an army officer.
Sir.
Operational matters. I am
Sir.
talking of ministry level changes.
So ordinance board corporatization has.
Yes, that is
Yes,
one of
that is one of the options where they are planning to privatize or maybe corporatize the.
corporatize.
Corporatize
Not
the.
privatize,
Yes,
corporatize.
corporatize the ordinance
Yes.
structure so that more of synergy is
They have already done that.
yes, they have already done it.
Yes. What else?
So these are
Okay. We'll discuss. Thank you, Aradhana.
Okay, your name is Amol, huh?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, Amol, you are posted in Fort St. George, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
So, who was St. George?
Ma'am, Saint George was a saint, and the fort was made in 1637 in
St.
memory.
George, of course, will be a saint. But who was he?
Ma'am, that I specifically don't know, but
Okay,
it was in
that's
memory
okay.
of that
That's
saint.
okay. All right. And tell me, why is this adage an apple a day, not a mango a day? No, apple a day will keep the doctor away. Why is it not a mango a day will keep a doctor away?
Ma'am, specifically there has to be no reason. It's just words sounding together. I think that must be.
Studied
Otherwise,
geography. You've studied geography for
Ma'am,
your exam.
yeah.
Okay. Now, I will ask a question that is coming to my mind, very frankly. You did give us reasons why you want to join, but tell me, why should the government hire you? For the
ma'am,
IAS?
I come with a lot of service experience. I come with the experience of commanding troops in operations. I come with the experience of being jointly working with the state government in most of the places where I have been posted to. That includes JNK, that includes Northeast. I got experience of serving internationally. So with so much of experience, I think the best option in front of me will be to join the bureaucracy. And I think if the bureaucracy don't get me, then my services or whatever experience I have got, that actually will go waste. So I think the best option for me to be into the bureaucracy.
Again, my question was not why you want to join this IAS or IPS. Why should the government hire you for that? You see, you work in a bubble. The army is apolitical, supposed to be. The army is disciplined. The army is very hierarchy bound. Though I did hear you say to an answer to an earlier question that army integration with ministries would be a good thing, but it would also lead to politicization. The strength of our Indian army is that it is not politicized. So, working in a milieu that is outright political, sometimes an army background may be a disadvantage. Don't you think so? Do you agree with me?
Yeah. Ma'am, I till definitely agree with what your views are. But I think life is all about learning new things. And it has been experienced for last 20 years in the army. But learning new things, coming into bureaucracy will definitely enhance my abilities, ma'am.
Okay. And you have only opted for Maharashtra and Gujarat, right? Haven't you taken the oath to serve the country everywhere, anywhere, and with your background, wherever you worked, everywhere? So it's interesting that you opted only for Maharashtra and Gujarat.
Ma'am, my disability profiles allows me only to opt for 2 states. That is one
What is your disability profile?
Yes, ma'am. That options is not there. I cannot opt for multiple options. That
You
option
can only
is not-
do 2.
Yes,
huh?
ma'am. That is
if you
my
have a disability, you only opt for 2 states.
No, that column is not there for people who are disabled, that you can opt for everything. Otherwise, services you can opt, they won't allow me to opt only even for the Indian Police Service, just because of the disability.
Yeah, that I understood. But for states, you can only opt for 2 states.
Yes, ma'am. You can only. The column is made only for 2.
Oh, really? All right. That's interesting. Okay. Now you belong to Satara. So can I ask you a question on Satara?
Yes.
General awareness. Sangli, Satara, Sholapur. These are clubbed together. These are out-migration districts. They are very vulnerable to a particular disease, infection. What is that?
Ma'am.
You're aware? Okay. Well, my last question. What are the challenges of India's pharma industry today?
The major challenge of pharma industry today is API. So that almost
What is API? Will you explain to me what it is?
Active pharmaceutical ingredient, ma'am.
What is that really?
Is one of the raw materials which we use for preparation of pharma medicines,
Okay.
and it may be active and passive, and
It is only okay.
it is
All right.
So we get it
So
most.
why don't we make it? It's very simple to make.
We
It requires no technology.
Ma'am, we may not have raw material for it, and secondly, if it is cheaply available.
No, what is the raw material for APIs?
Ma'am, I can't actually recall as to what it is.
Okay.
But if it is internationally available cheaply, that is mostly we get about 70% from China. So obviously we have not made any endeavor in last many years.
But do you know Sun Pharma? You've heard of Sun Pharma?
Yes, ma'am.
He is our largest generic manufacturer. Sun Pharma, if he produces paracetamol, Tylenol or paracetamol for the Indian market, he will buy cheap, low quality API from China. But if he exports to the US market, he will make it from zero stage, from the API raw material stage till the ultimate product of paracetamol. Now explain to me why this is happening.
Ma'am, just because Sun Pharma may have that technology or may have that specific.
It's not Sun Pharma, I'm telling you an actual case.
Correct.
He's the biggest. Torrent is no less. Cadila is no less. Cadila, in fact, has been a pioneer in the field of pharma. They actually developed an independent molecule, which Indian pharma industry has not done. So why is this happening?
Ma'am,
It's
it is
a wider issue I'm asking you.
correct. I understood, ma'am. We have actually over a period of time specialized into processing of pharma medicines, and we have not made a serious endeavor as far as the ingredient is concerned. And that is the reason when it is available, we must have got it from government.
Thank you.
So, there's a book which carries your name, Shantaram. Have you heard of the book?
Yes, I have heard of the book.
Okay, tell me something about it.
So it is about underworld person who actually gets into Mumbai and starts employment over there. And it is about his experience of staying in the slums of Mumbai. Sir.
And where does this person originally belong? Any idea? Australia.
Australia, sir.
So, coming from the army, I want you to analyze the Russian-Ukraine war.
Sir.
I'm sure you know the background in the sense that when the war against, the invasion against Crimea took place, that was over in a month and 6 days. Similarly, the world thought that this particular conflict would get over maximum 3 to 4 weeks, but it's still dragging on.
Yes.
Your thoughts?
Sir, there are two aspects to it, sir. One is land warfare and one is what is happening in the Black Sea. So initially when the operation started, they were most of them based on armored warfare, where the assault was initially at a very fast rate and they were able to reach, cover almost 150 kilometers in 2 days. But subsequently when they got into the built up areas, they have held their advance and we got into search and assault onto the built up areas, and that's the speed has reduced. Second aspect is when we concentrated into the Black Sea. Now, Black Sea, people actually never thought about it, but over a period of time, people have realized that the main intention was capture of Black Sea just because it is a warm water port. There is no warm water port the Russians have got. And even if you see in last 1 week as to what bombardment is happening, that is at Mariupol, which is again a port, then Obix, which is again a port, Crimea, which again is a peninsula jetting into the Black Sea. So the endeavor of the Russians is to open Black Sea, that is the Strait of Bosphorus, and then further to the Mediterranean Sea. So what I understand is this is the plan of action, sir.
Have you heard of this term, Bayraktar diplomacy?
No, sir.
Okay. Bayraktar TB2 is actually a drone. So that is being used against the Russian tanks.
Sir.
And it's a question of traditional warfare against non-traditional means. You could look it up because it's an interesting
Yes, sir.
area. Now, Maharashtra, you come from Maharashtra, and there's a lot of farmer suicides which are going on. Are you aware of the ranking in terms of the states? Where does Maharashtra rank in terms of farmer suicides?
No, sir, I don't have that.
It has the topmost rank. So very disturbing. What is the reason for such a huge number of suicides?
So the main reason is Vidarbha area, where most of the cases of suicide are seen, sir. And that is due to that area is perennial as far as scarcity of water is concerned. People have got land, but there is no provision of water. Irrigation things have not developed over a period of time, as compared to Western Maharashtra, which includes Pune, Nasik, Kolhapur, Satara, which has developed over a period of time. But major issue is availability of water and rampant poverty in that area, sir, where people have started taking money from local money lenders. Maybe the percolation of the system of inclusion as far as financial inclusion is concerned, it is limited in Vidarbha, and that is the reason as to why it is directly related to suicide, sir.
So let me put to you something which was said by an American scholar, Samuel Huntington, that corruption actually is a facilitator because it moves the rigid wheels of bureaucracy. So would you be in agreement with this?
No, sir, I won't be in agreement with this, because corruption, even if it at certain extent is creating finances or making a system flow, corruption actually indirectly leads to concentration of money into hands of people who don't deserve it. So aim of that finance should be equitable distribution of whatever money we have got. That is what the socialistic policy of our country is. So instead of concentration, we should distribute that money equally amongst the masses, and that is what the corruption don't do.
So you are coming from an objective viewpoint. I would like you to give me your viewpoint about the role of the civil services.
A role of civil services. So civil services has been instrumental as far as the development of this country is concerned, and we always call it the iron frame of the country. So
Steel frame.
Steel frame of the country, sir. And any policy decision which is taken, it comes on the shoulders of civil services to implement it. So a strong and a very vibrant civil services and inclusive civil services will always act towards faster development of the country. So I think civil services, as to what role it has been doing for last about many years, we required some changes, but it has fairly done a good job, sir.
My last question. Identical twins and clones. What would be the difference in the genetic makeup?
So I'll read about it, sir.
We'll talk about it when you come for feedback.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sir.
Okay, please wait for a few minutes outside.
Yes.
I'll call you for feedback.
Yes, sir.